unknown color.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, fellow educators. We're live on Facebook. Well, in the first webinar session, the pedagogy of effective radio-based instruction and planning learning experiences to support writing, development of formative assessments during radio-based instruction. Today's webinar session will focus on TV-based instruction, teaching and learning principles. There will also be a Q&A session and synthesis afterwards. The session 2, entitled TV-based instruction, teaching and learning principles, will be presented to us by three American English language specialists. This will be led by Aaron Royer, and he will be assisted by Andrea Appelberger and Dr. Crystal Brody. Without further ado, fellow English language educators, let us give them a virtual round of applause.
Okay, thank you, Den, for that introduction. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll get started. Webinars. This is, as Den mentioned, the second in a series of 6 webinars. And I'll be presenting this one and the following one next week on September 30th. So the focus of this webinar is TV-based instruction, teaching, and learning principles. Just kind of to go back and reiterate the sort of overarching purpose of this webinar series. You know, it's to give you some options and to give your teachers some options to sort of to deal with these very difficult teaching circumstances that we're all operating in at the moment. This sort of remote instruction format, in some cases hybrid format, and we're kind of moving through these webinars and giving you a menu of options that your teachers can use as they deal with these very challenging circumstances. So Andrea last week discussed radio-based instruction. Today we're talking about TV-based instruction. Next week we'll do paper-based instruction, and then in the following weeks we'll shift to online instruction, digital instruction. So you know, the idea is, as you're participating in these webinars, you know, think about which of these modalities will work for you in your context and for your teachers in your context, and how they could be adapted to work. You know, it might not be clear from at the beginning how you can use some of these modalities, but how can you make them work in your particular context? So as I mentioned, today we're going to be dealing with TV-based instruction. And in particular, we'll be dealing with 3 important questions. The first is, how can we be present for our students, even though we're not physically present? So how can we do all of the things that we know is really important in teaching? That is motivating students, giving students feedback, guiding them in their learning, inspiring students. How can we do these things when when our teachers are not physically present in the classroom? So we'll look at some important choices that we need to make and consider to sort of lay the foundation for distance learning. We'll talk about that in the first section. Then we'll move on to the second section. teachers use these in the classroom? How can they build lessons around this TV content, these TV broadcasts that are engaging for students, right? That are advancing students in their English language learning, um, despite the limitations. And we'll talk about some of those limitations and how to deal with those. And then finally, how do we
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Mm. Ano ba sila?
Support
May mga among mga parts sa MOL. Yes, Ma'am Rio. Ma'am Rio?
Sir,
Hello, Ma'am
good
Rio.
morning.
Good morning,
modification or
ma'am. Yan, ito
adaptation?
may mga parts sa ato MOL, ma'am.
So I really encourage
Oo,
you
sir,
as
send
we
na.
move through the webinar
Send
to
na
really
ko, sir.
think about your
Oo.
context, right?
Ang
You know
wara pa sila?
your context best.
Yaon
You
sa
know
sila,
your
sir.
teachers.
Online sila, pero basin mo insert na din sila.
Oo, sige, ma'am.
Oh, sige, sir.
Sige, paano din ta kung yaon na sila, ma'am?
Stoy, kanay pa.
Your teachers, students to face. So please. contribute, put your ideas in the chat, and we'll see what themes we can identify here.
All right, so starting off, I'm seeing a lot of things about TV signal. And then a lot of people noting some of those technical challenges and the infrastructure issues related to being able to see and access teacher. Someone noting disruption among family members. And yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so a variety of issues here, and we'll be dealing with some of these today in the webinar. In fact, in particular with this whole idea of TV-based instruction as one-sided instruction and getting students engaged with that. The infrastructure issues are a little bit more difficult, right? Dealing with power outages or perhaps